Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to Wake Up, Look Up, a podcast where we connect events happening in real time to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Zach Wyrock. In today's episode, we are asking for somebody to save young men. This is prompted by an article that was in the Wall Street Journal this week with devastating news as to the reality of where young men in America are. Now, for the purpose of this conversation, the definition of a young man is a man between the ages of 25 and 34. So kind of that young adult age group, an age group where life really historically has kind of started to happen. You're beginning your career, you're beginning a family. Not so much anymore. Let me lay some stats on you. Of men in this age group currently in America, only 89% of them are working. Now, these are prime working years. It means 11% of men in the early stages of their career are not working at all. It's about 700,000 less than that number should be. Also, 20% of them, or 1 in every 5, are living at home with mom and dad. 8.6% of men in this age range are unemployed and not in school and not in training, meaning they aren't doing anything. Actually, young men in this age group, just in general, spend on average 6.6 hours a day, non-sleeping hours, totally alone. 2/3 of men in this age group say that nobody knows them very well, and that the suicide rate in this age group is up 30% since 2010. In other words, whether we realize it or not, one of the most significant problems in our country is young men being unfulfilled, not working, not having families, not providing for those families, being mentally and emotionally unhealthy. You might even know this personally if you're a man in this age group or have a family member who's in this age group. This is a problem. By the way, it's not just a problem in our country, it's a problem in our church, because after all, young men in this stage are not developing into the leaders that we need them to develop into. They are also not becoming marriage material, at least not healthy marriages, so that increasingly, even if you're a young woman and none of these stats apply to you, you go looking for a man who you think is worth marrying, and they're harder and harder to find. This is a tremendous problem. It is also, by the way, our problem. And by that I mean it's the local church's problem. We have to take seriously that no one else is coming along to save young men. It is our work. And by the way, I have in mind mostly here older men. The Bible is full of admonition for old men to shape younger men, older women to shape younger women. There's a generational burden that exists in the church for one generation to shape and disciple the one after it. And we need to get busy doing that. Guys, when you hear those stats, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what a lazy generation. When I was that age, I was already doing this. I already had that. Listen, even if that's true, let's set that aside for a minute and say hand-wringing gets us nowhere. Pointing a finger gets us nowhere. We got to roll up our sleeves and begin to get in the lives of these young men to inspire and motivate them to live lives of meaning and purpose. It is our responsibility. Also, if you are a young man in this age group, listen, you can't sit around waiting for meaning and purpose to find you. Get busy chasing the things that God has told us bring meaning and purpose to life. Find a role in the kingdom. Begin to take seriously your faith. Share your faith. Find a job and do it to the glory of God, whether you find it personally fulfilling or not. Part of what's paralyzing young men in this generation, I think, is this idea that every job or every relationship has to be this life-defining, satisfying experience. Listen, making friends, having a job, meeting a girl, getting married, these things are messy. They're hard, they're difficult, and also wonderful. And oftentimes you got to push through the difficulty to get to the really great part. And then parents. We have to move this for the next generation. If you're raising a teenage son, start taking seriously the work of making sure he doesn't end up here in 10 years. Have conversations about work, about relationships, about sacrifice, about service, about meaning and purpose. Cast a vision, challenge him to live a life worth living. Listen, young men being unhealthy, I believe, eventually means Everyone is unhealthy. So let's begin to pray. Let's begin to disciple. Let's begin to parent, and let's move the needle on this issue. Help isn't coming from outside, but it doesn't have to, because the answer to who will save young men is Jesus through the work of the local church. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. While you're here, we'd love to ask you to hit subscribe or to like so you get future content. If you listen to the audio version too, make sure you leave a review and a comment. That really helps. Consider sharing it on social media and helping us get the word out. And hey, while you're here, check out all the other content that Christ Community Chapel is putting out, including the videos that are around me right now.